This is going to be a bizarre video. Absolutely bizarre, because it's a bizarre video I'm going to show you. So my live stream will be bizarre. The video I'm going to show you is very bizarre. The story is bizarre, but it's all connected to Jon Benet Ramsey. It's a case that still isn't solved. Still an open case, an open investigation. Shouldn't be, but it is, because of the botched investigation, the tunnel vision of investigators, and all the other problems that they had through the years. Boulder PD is looking at it again. There's a new chief, so there's renewed interest from that perspective. Obviously, there have been a bunch of docuseries, et cetera, creating more renewed interest among the public. But what I'm showing you tonight is just bizarre. And there's a man who's absolutely obsessed with Jon Benet, a man who was living in Boulder at the time that this happened. A man who's been talking about it for years, for decades. It's a man who went to prison for what he did to a child. Okay, so he's got that background as well. So we're gonna dig in. I'm gonna show you the video in long form. It's many minutes. It's off the wall stuff, but we'll take a look. And then during the course of this, we'll talk about the Jon Benet case. We'll talk about how does it actually get solved? Who is going to solve the case? It's all coming up right here on Vinny Live.
Hey, get ready, get set, let's go.
It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. Get ready. So post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set. To like and to subscribe, let's go. It's time for Vinny Live.
Special Sunday night edition. Rich Buddy likes the song now. It grew on him. Yeah, it'll grow on you. Like mold. All right, we've got a big show here on this Sunday night. As we're rocking and rolling. Okay. Welcome, everyone. Great to see you. His name is Gary Oliva. Let me give you the backstory, then I'm going to start rolling this video. All right? I'm going to give you the backstory, and then I'm going to start rolling the video. So, this man, Gary Oliva, was living in Boulder at the time, was also at the vigil, at one of the vigils for Jon Benet years and years and years ago. That's what that image is from. So he's been obsessed. He's been connected for years, but he was caught. He committed an offense against a child, and he did some serious time. He also, at one point, attacked his mother. So it's a guy with a history, a documented history related to children and related to violence. So you have that. Number two, he went to high school with a man named Michael Vale. Michael Vale is the one who shot the video you're going to see tonight. Michael Vale is the voice that you'll hear speaking with Gary Oliva tonight on this video. Michael Vale went to high school with him, and then Michael Vale was living in California in 1996. And Michael Vale says he got a call from Gary Oliva the day that Jon Benet was taken from this earth. And he had no context for it because it wasn't in the news. And it was once you see the video, you see how bizarre things can get. But it was a strange call, but he had been communicating with him before that through the years. One of the reasons was Michael Vale would make these cassette tapes. This is before the internet. Would make these cassette. He was telling me he would make these cassette tapes of some form of comedic content, and he would send it out to some of his friends and classmates from high school. And one of the tapes he sent, one of the people he would send it to was Gary Oliva. And Gary Oliva continued to communicate with Michael Vale through the years. So he had his phone number. He had his address. So he made a phone call that night. Gary Oliva calling Michael Vale. Michael Vale says, I received that call. And as soon as I hung up after speaking with Gary Oliva, he called the tip line and called it in immediately. And nothing really happened from there. Nothing really happened. Now, early on in the investigation, I've spoken to John Ramsey about this. Gary Oliva was someone who was on their radar, someone they were looking at because of his history, because of his proximity to the home, and his mental state and other reasons, including like this, like showing up at the vigil. So for all those reasons, he was on the radar. He was never named a suspect. And then, as you know, time continued through the years. Gary Oliva ended up getting locked up, and he sent letters through the years to Michael Vale. And in those letters, there are admissions, confessions, if you want to call it, relative to Jon Benet. Now, are they legitimate? Authorities don't think so. They haven't arrested him. They haven't named him as a suspect. But Michael Vale is very convinced because he says he's the one who received that call the day that this happened before it was in the news. So he's very convinced. So that's sort of the backdrop for all of this. And Michael Vale's become sort of obsessed with this because now Gary Oliva, who he believes to be dangerous, is now free because he served his time and he's out on, I guess he's out on parole from his offense. So he's a free man. And Michael is concerned that he may victimize someone else. And he's trying to learn more and figure out if, in fact, Gary Oliva is responsible for this. He believes so. So he recorded this conversation. Now, in the conversation, there's no confession that is replicating what is in the letters that I've seen. Now, the letters that I've seen, we independently took those letters and brought into my show 2 independent handwriting experts, analysts, to look at the ransom note and then look at the letters that Gary Oliva wrote. And they said that they both agreed that they were very, very consistent. There's a numeric rating, and it was a high numeric rating of consistency that they came to the conclusion of. And it was a higher rating than for Patsy Ramsey, having written that note. So, and independently, we didn't, take experts that he had. We reached out and found our own experts to take a look at it. And that's what they told us. So now he does this interview or this conversation or just speaking with Gary Oliva in this motel room that Gary had rented. It's strange. It's real. The whole situation is strange. But Michael tells me he wants to get to the bottom of it. He was hoping Gary would come clean with him, but Gary does not make an admission in any of this. But the behavior and then the reaction to some of the questions, is interesting. I think it's interesting. So I'm going to roll it, let you watch, but I've told you, I've tried to set up the framework for this, what it's about. And here it is.
It's not. You're not confessing, but you have feelings about this case. She came to you and talked to you, and you had something you wanted to say.
No, there's just this hatred everywhere I go. If I could meet her father face to face.
I haven't met him either. And I can't imagine what,
I've never had kids, and to lose a child, let alone in an accident or how in this case, I just can't imagine. I couldn't speak. I'd look at the guy. That's why I think words are shit. Words have no value. Just look at the person and just know.
So let's say I'm John Ramsey. I'm like, hi Gary, how are you? How's it going?
I don't know if like, oh hi, we're just meeting because
He seems very stoic. He's a very stoic man.
I would think if I were
very religious man.
I've read his book.
I haven't even read.
He went to India. I know his. I know his book. He's an amazing man. He's a very great man. I read his book about his life. He talks about Jon Benet.
He was in the military, Navy.
I don't even remember at this point. Other than he was in India doing missionary work.
Oh, wow.
And he talks about that. The guy, I mean, what the fuck? That's what I'd say if I could just, have all the security everywhere. Oh, what you gonna do? Ooh.
Oh, come on.
He's Mr. Ramsey right there. I would just look at him and go, what the fuck, man? That's what I'd say. What the fuck?
That's
all I could say.
A spiritual religious man. And
not that to be taken, that's not anything anti.
Okay. I'm going to continue in a second, but every time I'm going to pop in with some of the comments and questions that are popping up. So 912 all day long, test his DNA. Well, as a convicted felon, his DNA is in the system. It was not a match to any of the original DNA that was tested. So it was not a match. Now, the question is the unknown the unknown male DNA, is that the person responsible? I think it may very well be. But until we have an identity of who it is, it's not 100%. Because once you identify the unidentified male DNA, then you got to figure out who they are, where they were, and see if the rest of the pieces fit together, or if there was some other way that DNA would end up there, whether there was another time or place to be in contact with the source of the DNA. But John Ramsey believes the DNA is what will solve this case. That's absolutely what he believes. So let's continue. Thank you, 912 all day long.
Spiritual, just because I decided to cuss, because I don't care. What the fuck, man? Why did little Britney Spears, little Taylor Swift, why didn't she get her fucking chance?
Yeah, I mean, she would have definitely gone on to...
Look at what she did by the age of 6.
She would have gone on to be like... You look at Britney Spears or Taylor, they were doing music as little kids. And here she is doing pageants and music and singing and dancing. She was destined for...
grooming her. The mom was grooming her. The mom... I have nothing negative to say.
What would you say about Patsy? What would you say if Patsy was here?
I'd say, what the fuck, man? I don't know what to say.
Right.
God, man.
You were...
She was diagnosed with cancer and wanted her daughter to remember her. She was convinced she was going to die. At least from what the media tells you. And what the oh, never mind.
I just want to point something out. If you look on the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, there is an altar or a shrine to Jon Benet that's been put together by Gary Oliva. And he does this all the time, is what Michael Vale told me. He does this all the time. He didn't do it just for the video, but does it regularly. He finds things when he's out wandering the streets or whatever, finds things, picks them up, believes that they are connected to Jon Benet, and makes it part of his shrine.
I hope they.
No, not at all.
You know, she was grooming her daughter
To be the next Taylor Swift or the next Britney or Britney.
The mom was the mom did beauty pageant stuff.
You know, Britney went on to Disney Channel. I remember. You know, I forgot about that.
But I'm talking about the mom, Patsy Ramsey.
Well, I could see that Jon Benet would have gone on to be on the Disney Network for sure, dude. She fit the mold, and then she would have gone on. She had her singing and her talent, and she would have gone on and could have been like a major selling out arenas and stuff. So if Patsy was here, and bless her soul, and but John Ramsey.
I don't think, because people don't understand anything out of the ordinary, that the whole pageantry thing was simply a phase that the mom had in mind. Her mom, my opinion, simply had a career planned for her daughter. She's like, oh my God, look at what she does. Look at the awards she's winning. And she's like, oh shit. You know, planning a career for her, and whatever happened, you know, I don't think that has anything to do. I think this beautiful human being had such a career ahead of her.
Charisma.
She just had it, and it got stopped. Something's gotten away.
What would you say to John Ramsey?
To her dad? I'd say, what the fuck? I don't know what to say, man.
Well, you said that you wanted to say something, and you were very eloquent about it.
I'm sorry that he's been through whatever. I can't even imagine what he has gone through. I can't even comprehend.
Well said.
I've never been a father. I've never had a child.
All right, Leanne Wilson with a quick question. What offense did he commit? Well, it's one of those offenses I don't like to say it out loud because you know the way YouTube is, but it's the offense you would expect against a young child.
I can't comprehend losing. He's lost two.
Oh, yeah.
He had a previous daughter.
Car crash, right?
Right. And he mourned for... You don't get over shit, man. You don't get over stuff. It's been 1 year, 5 minutes and 52 seconds. I'm now over my daughter who died in a crash.
You don't get over it. It just, time just keeps ticking. That's all. And he wrote a book that must have been a healing experience in some ways, but also very cathartic.
It's a very good book. I recommend. I would read his. I give it 500 stars. It's a great fucking book. The guy.
Where is that book right now?
I read it in Oregon.
Oh wow!
One of the times I went back.
So that was on like 90.
I read it back in 2012, 2013. The book had just been out for a couple of years, something like that.
Right, right.
And I seen some fucking TV special Oh, he lives in Utah now and flies airplanes and like, fuck you.
Pretty sure.
Fuck the TV, man. I hate the TV.
Well, he was a pilot even back in '96.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I know, but yeah, you're right. I forget.
He was a good pilot, and being a pilot is not easy. You have to be focused. On a small airplane, you have to run all the controls.
I can't even drive a car. I bet right now he can still fly a plane. I bet his vision is still good enough. Right now, he could get in a plane and.
He is still a pilot. I've just let you know. I mean, it's known. It's public.
God, I wish I could. I wish I could fly a plane. I would. Oh God, flying.
So Anita asking, where's he at? Where is Gary Oliva? Gary Oliva got out, and he's in Colorado. He's in Colorado. I think it's the Denver area, I believe, and that's where he was released for his offense. Now, what's interesting, right? So and I'm reading some of the conversation in the chat as we're watching this, and obviously there've been lots of theories, right? And there's some people who are in the same place that the original investigators from Boulder Police were, which were they're focused solely on people within the house. I will say this. There was a defamation suit filed when someone was accusing someone in the house. And the person who accused, or the entity that accused someone in the house, lost. And remember, truth is a defense. Truth is a defense in a defamation case, right? But there's some people that are still there, and I get it because it hasn't been solved. You can be wherever you believe the evidence takes you and what you find is the most compelling in all of this. The DNA would exclude everyone in the house, right? It's if you go by the DNA sample that they tested, unknown male, that would eliminate everyone in the house. That would eliminate Gary Oliva. It would eliminate, I guess, anyone who's in prison. So that's why I don't put everything on that one sample. Is there additional DNA that they could get from other items with the extremely upgraded technology that exists today? Possible, very possible. Because if the person who is responsible is unknown male, the DNA, that means they never got arrested. They never got caught for anything, which is possible too, right? Whoever it is didn't get caught for this, so committing other offenses did not get caught. So the DNA never entered the criminal system, the data bank. So does it need to be done through genealogy? Does it need to be done with upgraded testing? I think those are the two places where you could go with the DNA with that sample, but I think you should also take another look at the items that were recovered to see if there's any other samples that can be found in 2025 that couldn't be found previously, because the technology grows exponentially year after year after year in what they can do and what they can find. So that's significant. All right. Let's get back to the video.
Doesn't it seem scary at all?
That's what I love about it. The challenge. That when you confront that fear of height, hopefully you have someone in charge. I've had the pilot
without a parachute.
I rented a plane, a Cessna, for half an hour, $50 a half an hour up in the air, whatever. And the pilot will say, "You want to take control?" And I'm like, I'm like some little thing. I'm like, "No, you just let me look out the window."
No, you rented you went on a plane.
I've done that a few times. Yeah.
All right, Denise Renee Miller just joining, so I'll give a quick recap of where we are. This is a man who's obsessed with Jon Benet Ramsey. He is in a motel room that he rented with a classmate of his from high school who he's been corresponding with through the years. That classmate, he had written some letters when he was in prison, basically taking credit for what happened to Jon Benet Ramsey. He then agrees to be in a room with him. He's subsequently gotten out of prison and agrees to be recorded. He knows he's being recorded on video by Michael Vale. And Michael Vale is throwing questions in there to see if Gary Oliva will confess. He does not confess in this video. He does not. But that's what's happening. We're watching the video in its long form. We took some significant pieces in our two-part special Thursday and Friday on Vinnie Politan Investigates on Court TV, and now taking a longer look here.
I didn't know that.
To get just a float in front of the Flatirons.
Really?
Yeah, back in the 90s. That was before Jon Benet.
Yeah.
When I had friends that...
And they were pilots?
No, they friends that actually believed in me, I thought. But from what I understand, they all think I did it. Whatever it is. Whatever their mental conceived idea of what happened.
And unfortunately, I lost contact with all those.
I think your average
people.
person thinks that somebody encountered the child, beat her up, strangled her. Jesus fucking Christ, I just said all that. Inflicted harm. Oh my God, to such a beautiful thing. I'm sorry if there's any suspicion that I could ever or have anything. I would have already. I couldn't live with myself. With some still I know what really happened.
You're already kind of torturing yourself enough as it is, in a way. I don't mean... What do you think? I mean... I feel like you've already been through a lot.
Look, I've said nothing but nice things.
That's true.
To Mr. or Mrs. Ramsey. The scenario that sticks in my head, there's so many goddamn fucking scenarios, is that something happened by accident with someone, probably an older sibling of some, whatever the fuck, who cares, and they might be covering it up because it might have been an older child that whatever this accident, I think, I've gone through many scenarios in my head. I think something happened where she fell back and hit her head.
Well, I know a private investigator.
Got covered up and everybody's freaking out, paranoid. Oh God, what is the neighbors going to think? And that right there, by saying that, implies that I think mom and pop, if you will, pardon me for using that terminology, were scheming together. Like, how can we cover this up? Oh God, we know what really, that seems. So I don't even. That's the best I'm
well, how did the ransom note get involved? Because I feel that the ransom note was written well before she was accidentally killed. I do feel that she was accidentally killed, and the evidence is there.
In that case, it would be afterward.
The ransom note was written afterward? I think I don't think she was meant to be killed. The scenario
that I just presented unto you,
right?
That would imply that an accident happened and we're like, oh fuck, we got to cover this up. Oh, let's write a ransom note. So I guess that, therefore, I would say that it was afterward.
Whoa.
Or she was dying.
Maybe she wasn't.
I don't want to think about it. She's alive, okay? Please. I don't want to. That's the best I can do.
Her spirit's alive.
Yes. I use the picture as an identity point, a portal to, come in contact with that spiritual point in the brain. The way the skull is designed, the way the human brain is designed.
Yeah.
It's designed. You know, when you see all those old.
So here's a question, and I'll stop it right here. Because, yeah, Michael Vale says that he was called the night that this all happened and was called by Gary Oliva. Michael wasn't living in Colorado. He was living in California at the time. So if that call is made, why does Gary Oliva make that call? Is he already obsessed with the case and somehow came across the information before it became a national story, right? So if the call is made, is there any other explanation as to why Gary Oliva would make that call on the 26th? Is there any other reason why he'd make that call? But he made a call. He made a call according to Michael Vale. And then Michael Vale says he called the tip line because the following day, he didn't know what Jon Benet was, but the following day, he read about the story in the news. The next day or the day after, I can't remember which day he told me that he saw the story. Remember, this is the not even late 90s, sort of the mid 90s. So we're not in the world that we're in now where everything is immediate and we have it right here in our hands. But if you made that call, is there any other explanation for it? I'm not sure that there is, unless he was privy to information and was already of the mindset of being obsessed. But I can't imagine how much was made public. Now, if you're living there, if you're living in Boulder, you would see the police cars maybe. If you're living in Boulder, maybe it was on the news a lot quicker. Then it made national news where someone in California would know about the story. I just don't know the answer to that.
Old Hindu, Buddhist paintings where, you know, the light shining up from the head, that's all, it's part of the human makeup. Human beings. Chakras, that's all part of it. The human being is a divine creature, you know, a divine, you know, made in a godly, as what we call it, image. That's why when one's so pure, kids are a pain in the ass. When one's so pure, has something happen, so to lose her life with so much ahead, so much. Look at what you got. You made it. You're here. It's life is here.
Interesting from Patricia Franklin, another John Mark Carr. John Mark Carr, you may recall, years ago, that was a big, big moment in this investigation. It was much closer to the date of all this, and early 2000s, where John Mark Carr was brought back from Thailand, I think, and had confessed to all of this. So the main difference between the two, Gary Oliva was in Boulder at the time that this happened, and the alleged call that Gary Oliva makes to his classmate, Michael Vale, the night that it happened, that he did something. That's what Michael says he said. That would be the difference. And even if you don't believe that the phone call was made, the difference is he was there. And here he is. That's Gary Oliva there. Okay, so he was absolutely there. But being there could be one of the reasons for the obsession.
And there it is. Look, and you love it. You love the attention, and all of a sudden it stopped. Damn.
And 28 years later, she's bigger than ever.
I married a rock star.
I don't know how
It's
you
not
feel.
funny.
I know how you feel.
Everybody loves my baby. Everybody wants to. How does that song go? Everybody wants not to be my
You didn't have
baby.
the right
No,
beat.
everybody wants my baby. Everybody loves my baby.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
And I can't get enough of her beautiful spirit. God damn.
Well, the ransom note didn't match Patsy though, and it didn't match John, and there was nobody else really present. The siblings you talked about were in different states altogether.
I know.
And the 9-year-old certainly couldn't have done any of that.
I'm not even gonna get it. No, I'm sorry.
Oh man, I'm just throwing it
I'm
out
not
there.
even gonna start.
No, we're not. I'm just gonna say, I'm telling you my hypothetical.
I'm not gonna bash on her brother, whose name was Burke. I'm not gonna even. I would like to meet him and say, dude, man, I'm sorry. I know your sister was a pain in the ass. I'm sure she was. I don't think he killed her. And, oh, you get all the attention, I'm going to kill you. I mean, come on. If you've studied this case, you know how many goddamn scenarios there are.
Well, I've got the perfect hypothetical. An intruder crept into the house, probably through an unlocked door even. However, they noticed the neighbors could see that door. So they go, we got to go out the basement window. And we're going to... Then he waited and waited. And he had all this time. And he went through all the drawers and he found all this stuff. And wrote a note, a ransom note, for 3 pages. And then went upstairs to get her and waited for them all to fall asleep. Oh, because they got home late that night. I don't know.
Let's finish. I want to hear some music.
Okay.
All right. So here,
So that's what I think.
Michael's laying out the scenario, right, and trying to see how he reacts to that scenario, which some people believe is what happened here. You know, that an outside intruder came in through an unlocked door, maybe went out through the window, went to the back of the home, and just to get his reaction. And he seems to just want to get away from it. And it could be one of two things, right? Well, you know, if he did it, he doesn't want to talk about it. It's bad memories for him, or his obsession with Jon Benet, and he doesn't want to hear about how she was taken from this earth. Sub Rosa with an interesting comment here I'm going to put up at this point. Unknown male is probably whoever worked at the sweatshop and made her pajamas. Possible, right? People talked about it. Very possible. And that's why I'm saying the unknown male, they believe, okay, this is the person, but what are the circumstances? What if it's a person from, I don't know, wherever these things were made? Let's say the pajamas are made in Guatemala. What if the person is from Guatemala? I don't know. Have they done genealogy on it? Can they figure out where it's from? I'm not sure. But I've covered stories and cases with unknown DNA or with DNA, and they try to, through genealogy, figure out like from where in the country would this DNA come from? You know, other family members and ancestors. And it was a case of a guy who didn't know his own identity. Something had happened to him. He was found naked and knocked out behind a Burger King. And this guy made the rounds. Like, he was on Dr. Phil, he was on all these different places. And he did not know his identity. And they did a DNA test, and his DNA didn't match anyone, you know, with any sort of criminal history. But then they did genealogy. And I brought a genealogist on the show and talked about, okay, it's, you know, and they sort of zoomed in like a mountain region, I believe, like in North Carolina, Tennessee area, that they believe he was, his family was from. So, I mean, is that something you could do with the DNA here? And Mo pointing out, Vinny, didn't you find it interesting that he said the murderer wrote the ransom note after Jon Benet was dead? How would he know that? Right? Does he know that? Is that a slip up, or is that just him laying out his theory? I took a moment there as well. I think Michael did also. All right, let's continue to watch.
Happened, and then I think she probably went and stun gunned her in bed, thinking that would quiet her, but it didn't work. It made her scream out, so she needed her duct tape around her mouth.
A neighbor claims she heard a
There you go.
Scream.
That's
a deathly scream, or something to that effect.
Probably like when you get a tased when you're asleep and suddenly you get tased. Then she was carried.
I don't want to do.
You don't want to
put
find
myself in the mindset. We were both you and I have been children.
Yeah.
At one point, so I know what it's like to be a child and to be scared of things that aren't there. Like shit that's not even under your bed, even though you know it, or the crack of a door, you know someone's watching you, even though your dad came in 5 times and shunned the lights and there's no one in there.
So
to actually be in the process of being killed or dying and not, being suddenly suffocated, whatever might have happened.
I think it happened so fast. I don't know. It was an accident.
In that case, I hope it happened like real quick or something.
Right. And I don't think kids think about death. I think they're thinking about the tomorrow, what they're going to ride their bike or what treats they're going to have or what,
I think she was digging. She might have complained, but that comes with the territory. She was digging her whole little career that her mom was setting up for her. I wish I had. I don't know. There's something.
I haven't even seen the Cowboy Princess video until I think this last year, 2024. And then you've been nothing but.
She never had a chance to really like. She was just starting. She never even had God damn. She never had a chance to rehearse and develop her own style. And what she did with what she was presented with from what her mom was teaching her was fucking phenomenal, man.
Yeah, and it's a southern thing, the beauty pageants. And a lot of people in the north don't understand exactly.
That's probably that's a very good point. Thank you for actually pointing that out to me, because I've had people ask me, "What's this whole beauty pageant?" I don't know. It's a thing rich people do. It's like, well, it's a southern.
Well, you know what? Every parent thinks their kid is the best and wants them to win the pageant, right? But this kid had talent. Let's face it. She was going to go on to be on the Disney Network and start a career. And she'd be 34 and 24.
You know Taylor Swift.
I sure do. I don't know a lot about her music. I should.
You met her, but I mean, next time you talk to
her, her tour just ended, and she made like $2 billion, $3 billion or something. Boy, I heard a quick thing on the news, and I'm like,
she likes quickies.
It sure would be cool if ticket prices weren't so high. I think it's outrageous. The ticket prices are so high that people that should be watching music and enjoying music are cut out of the loop because of finances. I think music should be accessible to everybody. I wish that live music. I'm giving my little.
So at one point he just leaves to go to the bathroom for a moment. Yeah. So there's a lot happening here. There's a lot happening here.
Time to get happy.
We need a break.
It's time to get funky.
We need to clean ourselves.
It's time for us to smile. 'Cause here comes McSpunky.
All right, McSpunky in the conversation, big time tonight. He's unlocked my paranoid Shakira. Interesting. Thank you, McSpunky. Yeah, this is I told you off the top that this was strange. I said this is going to be a strange show. This is going to be a strange night because it's a strange video, and I've got more to show you. But the one thing that is absolutely clear is how obsessed he is. And what's the genesis of the obsession? Well, part of it is, I think, his makeup, right? We know what he was convicted of: SA, child, right? Problem. So he's obsessed with children to begin with. Okay, so that part. But why Jon Benet? Well, he was living in Boulder at the time. That could also explain the obsession. Like I said, I've flashed this up a few times. This is an image back when all this happened. He's at the vigil. You see the candle. There he is. So he did show up. He was on the radar from private investigator hired by John Ramsey early on, but he's never been named as a suspect. I think he's been looked at. I think he's been spoken to. I don't think he's been spoken to in a long time. I don't know if a follow-up by police is warranted or not. If you have a cold case unit on the case, you're going to go back and look at everything and talk to, I think, anyone and everyone. But the obsession is clear, but the reason for the obsession is not 100% clear. I think it's in his DNA. So he's there. So this is it was the biggest story in the country. Let's be honest. It was huge. And still today, one of the biggest I think the biggest unsolved true crime case that we have, despite how many years ago it was, 1996, more than 30 years ago. So no, 28 years ago, my bad. 28, 29 years, 28, it'll be 29 in December. So with all of that, there's obviously people who are going to gravitate to it. That first call, though, Michael Vale said he got that call at night in California. That night, Michael Vale said he knew nothing about this. He was mentioning something with a child, and there was a confession, but there was no name given, etc. And then Michael, once he saw the story in the news, says he then made the call to the tip line, and there's no follow-up. So that's where we are. I think he has provided all this information and the letters and the conversations to the cold case unit. But, is he someone they should look at? I think that's for the cold case unit. How convinced are they that the unknown DNA is the key? If so, then he's eliminated because he didn't match to that DNA. That's why it's unknown. If he matched, it'd be known. So, all right, let's get back to some of this video. I put it back in. Where is it? About. All right, so here you get to see a little more of that shrine that he's put together, and he's like playing songs, and you see that he's been singing all of it. Again, kind of strange behavior that's taking place right here. Yeah, so I'm just going to keep the volume down on the music because you know what happens when you play music on social media. Facebook takes you down, etc. So he's singing along to the music, looking at Jon Benet as the music plays from his phone. And he's really into it. I don't know what was in his back pocket there. Looked like it's something of something. But he rents this motel room. And builds the shrine. He knows Michael is coming. He knows Michael is recording him. This isn't like a hidden camera situation. So why wouldn't he confess if he confessed in the letters? I don't know. You know, he's lying in one of them. He's either lying in this this video or he was lying in the letters, because he did take credit for it in the letters. All right. His musical interlude is almost done. Almost done. He's playing a little air guitar. There we go. He's trying to keep the sound down there. Wait for to get back into it here. But really a strange scenario. And the shrine is made up of things that he finds just walking around Denver. Finds things and believes that they're sent to him from Jon Benet.
It's not the other Marcellus. This is
Now he's trying to identify whose song it is that he's listening to. One of the Marcellus brothers, apparently.
Ellis Marcellus.
That's the dad.
All right. I don't know. The whole thing is just really unusual. I'll be honest. In all the years, I've never seen anything quite like this.
And then,
And Deanna says he may be obsessed, but he's not the killer.
this part right here.
Gen X thanking Sandy. Gen X and, of course, the rest of the Mod Squad doing a great job tonight, as always.
Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack. We've got order in this chat. The Mod Squad is on the job, helping us to keep it clean. The Mod Squad is on the job, always so nice and never mean. So let's give it up and say hello to the three amazing ladies running the show. Gen X, let's make some noise. Frankie Figs, let's clap our hands. And Jennifer Subay, let's raise the roof. Order in the chat. Order in the chat. Don't dare attack.
All right, thanks, Gen X, Frankie Figs, working it tonight. Ashley Bouchard, working Facebook to the max. And big thanks to Jennifer Stube, also part of the Mod Squad on the job.
Goddamn, what is that guy's name?
Let's see. Still trying to figure out who sang the song. Playing his air guitar. There's a good observation. Willie Nelson with a fish hook.
Goddamn, man. The way this whole song came together.
Beautiful song.
Keyboardist that also died. That was who that was. But... Oh, here, the horses.
What's that song called?
If you're filming,
The song we're listening to.
this song is called "Eyes of the World." The
Yeah,
horses.
but the one, this is a
Next
special
verse
one with Branford Marcellus, right?
I don't know, but the horses are important in this next verse.
Okay.
These horses.
For the altar. Shrine.
No,
It's just shoot.
it mentions horses in the next. So sometimes we ride on your horses. Sometimes we walk alone. Sometimes the songs we hear are the songs of our own.
The one thing Michael said is that Gary was not stupid in high school. He was a little different, but he was not stupid. He also said there was a certain point where his communication started to go and turn darker and darker and darker. And this happened, right? And this happened, and he started, according to Michael, take credit for this. So a lot of people obviously talking about the so-called ransom letter, right? Which isn't, it's a ransom letter, but it's not a ransom letter because it wasn't a kidnapping. So that makes it kind of strange. The handwriting experts I had, independent, said his writing, Gary Oliva's writing, was consistent. My understanding is that the scores, that there's a scale that handwriting analysts use to measure similarities of writings. And I forgot what the scale is. I know that he was very high on the scale and was, I believe, higher on the scale than Patsy was by the person that did the analysis of Patsy's writing. So the letter, there's another part to this letter. Like, it's long. It's long and it's a little rambling and doesn't make sense. Like the signature line, it talks about us, like we, and then mentions some organization. Was it SBTC, something like that? And finishes with the word victory. Like it's a little bizarre. So from my perspective, if someone in the house was going to write that letter, if someone in that house is going to write that, wouldn't you write a letter that would look and sound more like an actual ransom note rather than something that was this long and rambling? See, to me, the long and rambling strikes me as someone that's has some mental issues, right? If someone was trying to mislead investigators and someone was pretty much a normal person without mental illness, you would write a letter that would not be 3 pages. First of all, it would be one quick page, and it would be a very traditional ransom note. This one was not. This one was not. Now let's see what he does now. Stops with the music.
Pardon the waterworks. You're all right. Sometimes we ride on your horses.
Oh, there we go. Now they're singing, so I'm just going to bring it down a little bit. But yeah, you can see he's really like into this song. The whole thing is strange. The other part of this is this someone who is dangerous? Is this someone who's potentially dangerous now that he's been released? My guess is, my guess would be that it would. I guess now he's playing air piano on it. You gotta get past this part. All right. And Marvel fans 76080 over on Twitch. Vinny, you should collab with Bose one time. Sure. Why not? Why wouldn't I? Lauren Katie tonight, as much as I'd like this to be solved, I don't think this is the guy. Well, that's the other value in what we're doing tonight, because his name, whenever you research this case and look at it, this is a name that'll come up. So now you've seen this, and you can take what you want from it. Whether you, by actually observing the man, believe he's more likely or less likely. He's still in on the music from to finish his song here. Okay, Nick 04. The Jon Benet Ramsey case will never be solved because the Boulder police are the Keystone cops. Just move on. The case is unsolvable. Well, I think there's another part of that. It's part Keystone, right? Because the crime scene was not secured. Huge problem. People were coming in and out. People were bringing food. It was crazy. It was crazy. It wasn't being treated like a crime. Like as soon as they got there and there's a ransom note. Okay, everyone out of the house, crime scene tape. Let's go. Instead, 7 hours later, John Ramsey is asked to search the house again and finds his daughter. He should not even have been in the house. Like if a kidnapping takes place, the whole house, all the property is a crime scene. Crime scene tape immediately. Everyone out. Everyone out. We're looking for footprints. We're looking for fingerprints. We're looking for whatever we find. We're going to search this entire house from top to bottom. But it wasn't approached that way. And the other problem was they also had tunnel vision from the outset. They did not look at anyone outside of that house. They did not even consider that it could be anyone outside of the house. And then during the course of the investigation, you had a DA who saw it differently than investigators, and you saw personnel change, internal fighting, not allowing outside investigators to help. There was everything that could go wrong did go wrong. So Nick, I'm with you. But advanced testing of the samples that we have, advanced testing of evidence for more DNA that has not been recovered, that could potentially be recovered from other items. I think that's where it is. I think John Ramsey, that's where he is on this as well. All right, let's continue, see what's going on. Is he done with his concert yet?
Is he shrine?
No, he's still blasting his music. I just, with the music, it's very gentle.
I hope so.
No.
Oh, here we go. I'm going to get to the part where there's no more music.
The beat eventually.
All right, let's cut the music. Cut the music. Gary, turn off the music, Gary. Turn off the music. Turn it off.
I look back and go, what the fuck?
Turn off the music. Come on. Turn off the music. And he's blowing his nose.
Together, remember?
There we go.
In what? In no time, remember?
Yeah.
We put an altar together with outside stuff, all local shit. And a piece of bread. I took a bite of it.
And that's like an offering, the
That's
bread.
a food offering.
Okay.
I'm probably doing it backwards by Buddhist standards. You're not supposed to eat the food.
Oh, I thought that was like part of the...
But you know what? Buddha, he can handle it. Just like Jesus, he can handle it. So...
Are you talking about the Buddha child, Jon Benet Ramsey?
If you take a bite out of a food offering, it's no big deal. A food offering, you leave it at the altar. All
Right.
the shit goes to waste.
I know.
People would
I know.
sacrifice stupid shit.
But I never see him take a bite out of...
Crime.
I thought maybe this was a thing. I mean, it is kind of funny. I think it's a thing.
All right, here, let's do... Oh, my God, root down. Root down and get it.
So, but how does it make you feel? Wait, you didn't answer.
Wait a minute, no.
You just pointed to the altar.
Oh, my God, this is too perfect.
For the shrine, wait, before you play it.
This song.
Tell me.
This song
Okay.
is in line with what we're doing. Wow.
I just
Do
can't.
you
I
think
can't.
that she would have had her head cut off, or was that a ruse?
I can't.
In the ransom
He doesn't.
note,
He
they
covers his
said-
ears when he starts talking about what
I
happened.
don't
to him.
want to think about that.
All right, this music is gonna.
Can you turn that?
I don't understand anything about it. The ransom note is very gory. I don't want to think about
You've
her.
been studying it for 28 years, just like I have.
I want to think about inside of
28
her head.
years.
I want to think about her head inside.
Well,
I want to be in her head.
to be like a 6-year-old, and she's not thinking about that she's going to die the next day. She's just thinking it's another day.
She's not thinking that she's going to die in the next minute.
She's
I don't know. I wouldn't. I couldn't do that if you're asking me. I couldn't.
she probably didn't even understand what was happening when it was happening, and couldn't
Whatever
comprehend.
actually happened, yeah. She's going, what the fuck? Here, let's just go on. I don't want to.
Okay. Oh, I was just saying, like, what do you think? Because we have so much experience on this, hypothetically. Well, they're not really going to cut her head off. Why? Or would they? It was just
I'm not them.
It was just a thing.
I'm not them.
I don't think it was.
Right there, the denial. The denial. I'm not them.
Yeah, it wasn't a them, but it could have been. But
Here it is. Does it go?
Let's go back to the music. Killing me with the music.
when did you first start doing like altars and shrines?
I've actually done it. I don't want. I don't know.
You want to take a break? Okay, sorry.
I want to rock out with Johnny.
Okay.
With Johnny. There's more music playing. That's always problematic. Always problematic. All right, Lindsay Gandy, I've had the Mod Squad song stuck in my head all weekend. That's the point. No, but it doesn't happen to just you. It happens to me too. I do it to myself. I do it to myself. Roxanne A. Has his DNA ever been tested? Yes. As a convicted felon, he's in the system. Not a match for the unknown male DNA.
We heard it last night.
So he's not a DNA match. No one in the house was a DNA match. Right? So that's always my comeback, right? Because there's a whole group of people who believe it's someone in the house. And then there's people who don't, and there's people who don't believe it's Gary Oliva because the DNA didn't match. Well, the DNA also did not match anyone in the house. So is there, which brings us to the question, is there a chance that the DNA that they currently have, the current unknown sample, is a red herring in all of this? That it got there by someone through innocent means. We don't know. Until they match it, we won't know. Until they match the DNA, we will not know. I'll keep him rolling just in case the music stops here. All right. Jersey style. This guy's a weirdo. I told you at the top of the video, Jersey style. Absolutely, I agree. I agree. Okay. Mark and Betty pointing out, I'm in the UK. This made national news for months over here when it happened. So, yeah, the story was everywhere.
What's wrong? Where did... Oh, nobody saw anything.
Yeah, it's all right. I know. Here, let's close.
Oh, you popped that fucking thing down. Oh.
Wow, look, 420. Nice. That's good. See, that's a good thing.
It was just some moron running by.
You act like it was no big deal.
That's so nice. Yeah, because I saw them come in the corner of my eye, and they ran to the door, and they knocked, and then they realized it was the wrong door. And
they saw me rocking with Johnny there.
No,
there's like there's some weird energy going on here.
It's in your mind. Nobody can see that from there anyway.
No,
Look how beautiful it is right now, though. There's going to be some Hawaiian barbecue very soon, my friend.
Are you still filming?
I don't know. Let me see.
God damn, that pisses me off.
What?
Leave it. Don't leave it. Leave it. Just leave it going. It's okay.
Oh my god.
Give me a second.
It's amazing. I need to probably charge it. No, we're okay.
I don't want people anything. I don't want anything.
That sounds like a song. I don't want people. All right.
Can I do this?
I guess we can do it. Now, let's tell me about the history of the shrine. When did the shrine first start?
I don't want to. I'm trying, man. You're fucking on my buzz, man.
Okay, just tell me what year it was, and we'll move on. I will never ask another question. I don't want to kill your buzz.
I was doing that long ago.
Take a deep breath. You're not breathing. Breathe, breathe, breathe.
Shit, I lost the fucking thing.
You know, a lot of meditation and Buddhism is breath. Breathe. Gary, breathe, please. You're not breathing. That's why you're coughing so much, Gary.
I know.
Fucking breathe a little. Breathe in.
More music. Fill me with more music.
Fioria.
For a world of lovable scents. Get native hair care.
Vesper, whack job. Friend is getting attention. Whack job is getting attention. They love it. Meanwhile, solves nothing. Not worth the attention, says Vesper. Thank you, Vesper. Well, it's the Boulder police cold case. The chief says he's going to solve it. My guess is they're taking a look back at everyone involved. And if you had any people who were persons of interest that were spoken to or were on the radar initially, you got to go through them again. Question is, does this or should this, in the minds of investigators, make them take a closer look or eliminate him? We shall see. Hold My Latte has no idea what she's watching. It's a long story. So for folks who are just joining us, because we've got more than when we began, his name is Gary Oliva. He's being interviewed and recorded by Michael Vale, who is someone who went to high school with him. Gary Oliva, according to Michael Vale, made a phone call the night that Jon Benet was taken from this earth. And Michael Vale said he received the call that night. Michael Vale was in California. He said Gary was in Boulder. He said Gary said he did something to a little girl. And, you know, it was kind of a strange call, right? Then Michael says once he finds out in the news about Jon Benet, he put two and two together very quickly. This little girl, Boulder, Gary called me. So then he called the tip line, and there was no real follow-up to it. Fast forward through the years, Gary Oliva does time for essay involving a child. While he's in prison, he's sending letters, and he's sending letters to Michael Vale. And in at least one of those letters, there is what purports to be a confession to this. So Michael, now knowing that Gary has been released from prison, goes to meet him in Colorado. Gary rents this motel room. Michael is knowingly and openly recording Gary as he speaks to him about Jon Benet. He has set up this shrine to Jon Benet on the nightstand. And I think Michael is trying to powder him with questions to see if he will say on video what he wrote in those letters that he sent from prison. But he doesn't. And all the recordings, and we're done with what I have tonight almost. We have a little bit left. He actually denies it. He denies it. But anytime you start talking about what happened to her, he sort of Well, we do know for sure that he's obsessed with Jon Benet. But what's the genesis of that obsession? So that's where we are. That's the best I can. Someone asking if that's Zach Galifianakis. No, it is not Zach Galifianakis. And now there's a missing piece. There's a lot of missing pieces here. Ashley Bouchard, one of members of our mod squad over on Facebook. Facebook is buzzing tonight, by the way. Facebook is buzzing tonight. We may have more folks on Facebook than YouTube tonight for the first time. DNA is a red herring. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. I see a good conversation taking place in the notes. I'm just trying to get current, and I've stayed pretty current too much. Here's Derek Sherman. Big V, you're throwing too much on the DNA, not matching the Ramsey. It was supposedly a very small DNA sample, if I remember hearing right. Jimmy had wet the bed that night. So, the DNA, there's two, the DNA, the way you look at it relative to the Ramseys has to be consistent with the way you look at it relative to Gary Oliva. If you don't believe the DNA is the end all be all, the DNA sample that they do have, that they've recovered, then everyone's in play. Everyone's in play. If you believe the DNA is connected to the suspect, then you've got to eliminate Gary Oliva, and you've got to eliminate everyone inside the house. All right. Oh, this could be the funniest. Wait, I missed it. Where is it? Oh, here we go. This is probably the funniest comment of the night. We're watching the Tangent Christmas special after party. That's good. I wish I thought of that. That is so good. That is so good, Polygraph. Thank you. Thank you very much. Captain Jenks. Yeah, did you ever explore the essay 8 months later, a block over from the Ramseys? Exactly. Was that an actual essay or was that the attempted one? I think there was an attempted one. So to me, that, right, would make some sense. A lot of people have talked about footprints, right? Because there was snow on the ground. And, you got to go back in time. What were people saying about the footprints? What investigators said about the footprints is they didn't see any in the front of the house. So the question is, could someone approach and enter from the back of the house on the footprints? Yes or no? I don't know. My guess, though, that the place wasn't locked down. The scene wasn't locked down. I don't know how they could come to any conclusion on what they did. This just was not handled the way it should have been handled, as either a kidnapping or just straight up homicide. All right. I think I am current with all of the comments. Let's finish up here. Let's see what he has to say. Playing more music. Oh, geez. He's playing Horse with No Name now. He's obsessed with the horses. Obsessed with the horses. Oh, yeah, I can't let that music play on the video. All right. And what's interesting, there's been a lot of programs, documentaries, specials, etc., about this case because there's so many angles to it, and because it remains unsolved. To me, the bottom line is it should be solved and should have been solved. but wasn't. I think this might be the end of this video. I think this is it. All right. Oh, we played a lot of that. Horse with No Name. That was a great song, True Crime. That great song, Horse with No Name. Was that America? America. But I'm not going to be tempted to go off on a tangent here. We do that on Fridays with Alan Jonesy. All right. Here's a great question. Can I get it on here? Here we go. Was the person in the house for a long time hiding? Nobody knows. Is it possible? Yeah, it's possible, because apparently where she was found, no one was looking. Like, no one looked where she was found until 7 hours after police arrived. So now, if it is someone in the home, like, see, part of the reason this story has stayed alive is Jon Ramsey. Jon Ramsey continues to speak publicly about it. He doesn't shy away from it. He is aggressive. He reaches out. He'll go on television. He's been, on my show. He's been on other shows. He's been on some of these doc series. He's been on podcasts. He has spoken about this many, many, many times. If, in fact, it was someone in the home, you can move on. The public may have some level of obsession, but if you are never speaking about it again, it's not going to be here. It's going to be like down here below the radar. But because Jon Ramsey is actively involved in all of this, it's up here. If he says nothing, the story goes down here. Period. All right. Lauren Katie with an interest. Did the cops ever clear the parents? Boulder PD, no, but one of the DAs did clear them at one point years ago. And what's the basis of that? Are they official? I don't think, like, saying you're cleared and actually being cleared, it's going to be depend upon the evidence. I don't think you can necessarily clear anyone here. I think you can say they're not connected to the DNA that we found. I think that's the best you can do for everyone. Right? And it's the best you can do. People whose DNA does not match, if you believe the DNA is the end all be all. Jon Ramsey's in on the DNA. Jon Ramsey is in on the DNA. There's some testing he wants done that there's only, I don't know if it's just one firm or a couple of firms that actually do that type of testing. And he wants it done. Will Boulder PD do it? When will they meet? What do they do? They may have already done it. They're not going to. Just so they can be doing things and speaking to people and have people of interest in mind at any point, and we would never know, because there's no obligation to be transparent like that with developments in the investigation. What they have said, the new chief says, this case is on my docket. I want it solved. So there's a renewed interest, a renewed mandate to get it solved. Sarah Temp, just because Jon still speaks about it doesn't mean he's innocent. Okay, yeah. So, and that's obviously true, but the question is, why is he speaking about it all the time? Because he is. He is. And until we know who did it, we will not know who did it. That's like Yogi Berra would say something like that. But what I mean is, there is no definitive evidence pointing in any one direction. That this could break any which way. Should be 618 over on Twitch. Just got home. Hope everyone's having a good day. Indeed. What? Michelle C. with something very interesting here. A person named Glenn Meyer had a poster on his wall of a WW2 airplane named SB2C. And the poster said, "Wings of Victory." You can look it up. He lived in the basement of a close neighbor of the Ramseys. Like, okay, I don't know who this Glenn Meyer is. And I got to look this up. That, like, to me, that would be like a real lead. A basement dweller, close by, SB2C, Victory. Wow. Thank you, Michelle C. You earned that hat you're wearing right there, by the way. To me, that sounds like a lead. It's Lenny of Mice and Men. Interesting. Live off the fat of the land. Live off the fat of the land. And Love Boston agrees with me. 100%. All right, this is the most important point, right? This is why you don't make the entire investigative case file public. The killer would have to know some details that weren't released publicly, because it doesn't sound like DNA will solve this case. Always have to hold it back, because false confessions, and to get that. And sometimes, right, sometimes it's holding back something, and then someone makes an admission that they know something, or it's also a way to test a confession to see if it's legit. But yeah, it's important. All right. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're up to we grew to 1,700 watching on Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and X tonight. And we got a lot of Facebookers in here. YouTube always strong. Twitch building up momentum. And I even saw some X postings. So great job across the board by everyone there on this Sunday night as we get ready for another big week coming up. Every week's a big week. Beginning of the year is usually when there's a bunch of big trials locked and loaded and ready to go. Some of the super high profile ones. We've got some interesting ones coming up on Court TV. But of the main big ones, it's looking like the nines and the tens of the lot of ones we've been waiting for look like they'll be in the early spring, middle spring, late summer. The big one hits in late summer. The Idaho students, University of Idaho, jury selection scheduled for August. In that case, you've got Karen Reed retrial in the spring. You've got Lori Daybell now representing herself, which completely changes the nature of that trial. We're going to have to be all in on that one. And we've got some other interesting ones without trial dates that are sort of developing. We do have some trial dates on Stephen Stearns, but I'm not sure if those are real trial dates or not. I'm not sure if those are real trial dates. I think we got to get a little closer to find out. But yeah, we got some big ones lined up for you, and obviously I'll talk about them here on this stream. I talk about breaking stories here, and then when there's pieces of evidence and things that sometimes things I do in my show here, we want to take it a level deeper to give you even more about some of those issues without the time restraints. Like a piece of video like this, like we showed all the significant pieces and did the interviews surrounding all of that video. But tonight I wanted to give you an opportunity just to see the whole thing, get a feel for Gary Oliva, so you can make up your own mind about what you're seeing and what you're hearing from this guy, and whether or not you think he's on the radar or not on the radar for all of this. But that is it. I'm getting close to wrapping things up. I'm just checking who's watching tonight. I'm just checking because I'm checking the notes. One second. All right. I was looking for something specifically, but did not see it. Anyhow, wow, it's 9:36. I still have some work to do tonight for next week. So I'm gonna run. Let me see. 1 second. 1 second, people. People who need people. All right. Just trying to see if I have this other video. All right. So as we leave you tonight, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you to the Mod Squad working on a Sunday night. Yeah, basically the schedule for me. Oh, that's what I wanted to tell you. I do have a rough schedule. This isn't it. I'm trying to put together a rough schedule. So here's my goal. Friday with the tangents, I will be streaming usually around 12:30. And then I will do a video, attempt to be live Tuesday around the middle of the day, maybe a little earlier. And Thursday afternoons. That's the goal right now. Things happen though. That's why I don't set a schedule in stone, but I've set a schedule that's sort of my goal is to stream on Tuesdays before noon, Thursdays after 4, Fridays at 12:30, and the weekends when I can. And obviously, I write it in pencil, not even in pen, because things develop during the day as I get ready for my show every day. And then when there's big news breaking, of course, we'll jump on the stream as long as I have time to do it. So thank you, everyone, for watching. So as we get ready, let me remove this guy. Yeesh. So now's the time. Oh, by the way, say hi to Mini Vinny, who's been watching the show. I was going to try to do maybe a Saturday show once, but we'll see. So here's the situation. I'm type 1 diabetic. You've heard me. You've seen my performance tonight. Do I look like I'm on? Do I look like my blood sugar's in a good place? Does it look like my blood sugar's in a bad place? I had one nice meal, not too heavy on the carbs, early afternoon. And then I had a yogurt and a banana a little bit later. Mini Vinny doesn't sound right, says Roxanne. All right. So it's time for you, ladies and gentlemen, to guess my blood sugar.
Here's a type 1. Here's type 1. His pancreas is on fruits. He has diabetes, type 1 juvenile diabetes. And so it's time to guess, is more or less, what's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? Under 70, he gets like 10. Under 60, all
Ashley
the
Bouchard.
alarms start ringing. Over 180, he starts to get lethargic. But
There we
when
go.
it's
We have a
90,
winner.
Vinny, eyes are singing. And so it's time to guess,
We're going to listen to the rest of the song, though, because I love
is
it.
more or less,
Anyone else get it?
what's his blood sugar? What's Vinny's blood sugar? But take a guess. Yes,
Hello,
take
got
a
it, but a
guess.
little late.
Let's guess. Vinny's blood
Gloria got it.
sugar.
A little late.
Now,
We had a bunch of 102s. All right. So let's see. I got my lists. I have the list of the winners. I got to find my list. Put you on the list. Where is it? This is it. I got to get more organized. Too much going on. Oh, here, I'll put it back here. All right. You got the 101. The date is 1/12. Congratulations. What we're going to do each quarter, which is every 3 months, whoever guesses it correctly the most gets the prize. And that is, of course, a trip to the Vinny Originale True Crime Merchandise Store. And you can pick out whatever you would like. So that's it. And that's the program. That is tonight's live stream. I'm Vinny Politan. Make sure you watch me every weeknight, 8 o'clock, Closing Arguments, 9 o'clock, Vinny Politan Investigates. That's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Day in and day out, week in and week out. Have a great night. And as always, folks, please don't forget to hug the kids.
get ready, get set, let's go. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. It's true crime, streaming live, worldwide. It's Vinny Live. Get ready to post inside the chat. Get ready for the prosecutor hat. Get set to like and to subscribe. Let's go. It's time for Vinny Live.